Have we got the audio on here? Yes, we have. Welcome to the live. Just doing a bit of reading and just thought I'd do this topic on what happens when you come up to a breakup situation. It's more for guys, but you could apply this generally. So if you're a girl and it it's from your perspective, you could probably take something from this because it's basically just about the dynamics of a breakup. Now, I've got to admit first, dating content, I do a little bit of it. I do weave a little bit into it here and there every now and again. But, as you know, if you watch my content, I'm not really doing dating content. But dating is relationships, and relationships are part of human psychology. So it's, part of the whole mindset thing. So, yeah, I have covered it. I have read it. Anyway, on to this, right? So I'm just going to hit you with what to do if you get into a breakup situation, right? Because usually when you get into a breakup situation, there's only two ways you can get into a breakup. The first one is a fake breakup. And the fake breakup is like, someone's angry at you and they're just trying it on, see if you get a reaction, right? That's not really when they've fallen out with you. A real breakup is when, basically, a breakup happens when the attraction's gone. And at that point, if the attraction's dropped, there's not a great deal you can do, right, other than raise that attraction. And the only way to raise that attraction is to get super, almost militant in the opposite direction. So if they start pulling away, you've got to pull away even harder. If you've seen any breakup advice, you've probably seen this 1,000 times, right? But so let's just try and make this actionable, right? Your girl's pulling back or whatever, and then there's just a breakup, whether you've had a fallout or whatever, or she just like ghosts you or doesn't contact you or something, or don't respond, or sends you a message, I don't think we should see each other anymore. What do you do? The only thing you should do in that situation, right, whether she's calling you bluff or not, right, sorry, whether she's testing you or not, call the bluff. Just say, okay, fine. It'd be nice knowing you, take care, and leave it at that. Just from there, radio silence and just walk away. And that's pretty much it. That's all you have to do. In every scenario, the minute you know that time, you can always sense it, something's wrong. The minute you see her pulling back and you get that little message or, you get the rejection, it's just okay, fine, take care. And there's only two responses to that, right? Well, there might be three. You might get an initial response of shock because, if it's a girl, she's probably never had that happen to her before. A guy, they can just sort of turn around and just go, okay, fine, take care. Probably like not expecting that. So they might come back quick. The other one is so it matters if they still have attraction for you or not. If they don't and it's done, then you've done yourself a favour. You can just walk away, and you don't want to waste your time, especially if you're on your sort of mission trying to achieve your goals in life. Do you really? I think sometimes people do you a favour, and it's better to know as early as possible and maybe develop some sort of emotional self-control to handle that. And the second one, if they do still like you, if you just pull away and just say, okay, fine, call the bluff, whatever, even if they're testing you, just call the bluff. Fine, take care, all that kind of thing, and just done, walk away. What'll happen is after a few weeks, you'll start getting little, if they're still interested, you'll start getting little signals here and there. It might be like little comments on WhatsApp or social media about reacting to, they're sort of watching in the background. So if they still like you, it'll take a bit of time, but subtly they'll start doing that. I had that once with a girl, and it lasted about 12 months doing that little thing. And when Right, so if you still like this girl and they come back after a few weeks, you've just gone completely fucking hardcore, like, okay, take care, nice knowing you, walked away. You've gone completely hardcore and sort of held your, what's the word? Held your integrity, say, and just walked away. And you still like her, but you're like, you know what, I'm not standing for this, walking away. And then a few weeks later, they come back and you get these little messages here and there, maybe on a social channel or maybe it's WhatsApp or whatever. The worst thing you can do at that point is, if you really want it to work out, go all in, you know, like all soppy and over the top. You've got to really dial it back because, you know, I've been in that situation before and you can fuck it up at this point. You really should be looking at it as from your own sort of mission perspective, like I always talk about creating an identity for yourself and then living according to that identity. You should have a higher vision here, a higher purpose, and you know you haven't got time for people fucking around and messing around with you. And all you got to do, if you see that subtle sign, just if if you don't know what to say, just ignore it, right? And it'll just keep coming. Whereas there'll become a point where you have to respond to it, and you just respond just very casually, nothing, no talking about relationships and stuff like that, and just be, hey, how are you doing, and all that kind of thing. And then when you know it's on, then you can obviously arrange a date. Because sometimes it really depends, right? You will know whether they still are really attached to you or not at that point. And if they are, then, you know, feel free to just organise a date and sort it out and then just see how it goes from there. But quite often you'll get these little messages just from a woman that was kind of on the fence about you, but maybe not fully invested. And that's where if you go over the top, it'll just finish it. You know what I mean? And that's it really. I read something I've got a book here, The Impact Code. I know I showed this yesterday, but I found something in here again. This is not directly relatable, but I would say this is directly relatable to your primary mindset. And after I read this, I'm going to talk about where you should see yourself in terms of everyone else if you want to achieve your goals. So there's just a little paragraph at the bottom, and it's not related to breakups, but let's just listen to it. Remember, nobody's worth sacrificing yourself for, not even your kids. There's always a way to get what you want. It might take longer, but the compromise should never be yourself. That's like, you know, you're not going to sell yourself here. Nobody wants a wasted life and their conscience, especially your kids. Right? Obviously, the kids bit is, you know, if you've got kids, fair enough, but if not, nobody wants a wasted life and their conscience. And I think this is where it comes from, whether it's things like breakups and stuff like that. They're just a part of life, you know what I mean? If you've been through enough of them, or if you've been through some pretty tough ones, then they just become a part of life. There is possibly a way to avoid going through an absolutely horrendous breakup, but most people go through them, and you just learn that they're just part of life, and just to move on. At the end of the day, you should be trying to love without attachment, or loving freely. Allowing people to come and go into your life. And I find that if you look back through your life, every single relationship that's possibly worked out better than others has always been when you're super laid back about it and not like over analysing whether you're in the relationship or not. And just allowing that person to come and go, you know, as they please, basically. And that can go on for years. Obviously, if it's, you know, it can get a little bit frustrating, but if you can really have that mindset where your higher purpose is you, and, you know, people are either there for you or not, then it's a very powerful situation. And yeah, I mean, just understanding that section there, where was it, 239? There's always a way to get what you want. It might take longer, but the compromise should never be yourself. The worst thing you can do is if you get into a breakup and I mean, everyone's begged, right? But if you ever get into that situation when you're begging, you always end up looking back on that as a moment of regret. Whereas if you get a situation where you just walk away clean, and maybe you get that little interaction from them later on, and maybe, well, obviously it doesn't work out unless you're still with them, you never regret that. You know, you've walked away with your head held high. And it might sound cliche, but that's what you should do, because the second bit, nobody wants a wasted life on the conscience. I once heard of a term, the rocking chair test. Can't remember who said it, but in a nutshell, it was like, imagine your future self looking back on your current self and asking, did I do everything that I could in terms of getting the life that you want? It's a bit like what Naval says, the ultimate test of intelligence is you having the ability to get what you want out of life. That should also include the relationships that you want. You know, there's a great saying, I think maybe comes from Tony Robbins. You know, Tony Robbins believes one of the ultimate measures of success is, you know, the quality of life is in the quality of relationships. Maybe that's true. So you have to get what you want. Now, when it comes to breakups, that doesn't not mean taking action. It does not. I mean, less is more when it comes to a breakup. Your action, the easy action is to go and beg. That's easy. You might think that you're taking action, but that's just a piece of piss. That's just being weak. The hard action is have the emotional strength not to beg and to walk away with your head held high and know that you are moving forwards, smashing your goals, getting what you want out of life. There's always a way to get what you want. It might take a little longer. All right. Nice little short live. Hope you like that one. I might do someday a proper recording on breakups, because there are some. I'm just trying to think of a few step by steps here. Obviously, the minute you get that call or that message and the girl's pulling away, whether they're testing you or not, call the bluff. Say, yep, no problem, take care, done. That is it. Right, and just walk away with your head held high. And only one or two things will happen at that point. If they're bothered, you'll get some reaction from them some point down the line, whether that's in 2 weeks, a month, 2 months, whatever. If they're bothered, they'll be watching and something will happen. And then at that point, don't rush in, otherwise you will balls it up. You need to still have some restraint and let them do most of the work at that point. And then when you know that they're fully invested, obviously if you want to go and date them again, that's fine. By the way, if someone ever monkey branches on you, I don't think you should get back with them, to be honest. In that scenario, maybe, you know, monkey branching doesn't always work. If it didn't work out, maybe you could demote them to a plate and see them every now and again for a bit of fun, but don't take them seriously. But yeah, the other one is it's done. And if it's done, as hard as it is, if you're still invested and they're not, you're better off cutting your losses. I know, because that's another thing that you'll see in time. You'll look back and think, why did I do all that chasing when it was done? I just wasted 12 months. I mean, 12 months is not a long time. You know, if you're doing it for 3 years, that's pretty bad. I've known people do it for longer than that, but anyway, there you go. Right, done. Take it easy, everyone. Thanks for listening, and go and watch some of my other videos. I've got a relationship playlist, by the way. Like I said, I don't do much on relationships, but I've got a good one in there called How to Date an Avoidant Woman. That's a popular one. Go and have a look at that. All right. Yeah, don't forget to like the video, subscribe, and See you all next time.